hello to all of my GEMS family. This is Life with Marlene, and we're here for another Life Lessons podcast. If you're new to this channel, I'm Marlene, and I do vlogs, motivation, inspiration, and travel videos. So go ahead and subscribe, like, and share this with your community. Today on the show, I will be. Hey, Rudy. Hey, Glenda. How are you doing? Welcome. Today on the show, we're going to be talking about entitlement. How's my volume? I hope the volume is good. Today, we're going to be talking about entitlement, and there are people out there that have this notion, this idea that they own you in some way. It could be a spouse or significant other, boyfriend, girlfriend. It could be a friend. It could be the workplace, the job management. It could be your relatives or your quote unquote family. But there's always people who believe that they own you and can do whatever it is that they want to do to you. Hey, Boss Life Online, how are you doing? Welcome. Thank you so much for being here. Everybody, if you could hit the like, I'd really appreciate it. I hope the volume is good. Um, yeah, I wanted to talk about entitlement because we see it every day, or we see it very frequently. The people who feel that they are entitled to know our personal and private business, or they feel that they're entitled to know our business. Hey, Miss 702, how are you doing? Welcome in. Thank you so much for being here. I really appreciate it. And there's always people like that. But, many times it is our relatives who feel that they are entitled to know all of your business. It could be your own children, it could be your siblings, it could be your parents, aunts, uncles, grandparents, cousins that feel that they have the right. They're entitled to know everything about you. And if you don't tell them, they will be angry. They'll actually give you the silent treatment because you don't tell them your business. Whereas at the same time, they're not telling you all of their business. They keep their stuff under lock. They keep it under lock and key. They're not telling nobody nothing. But when it comes to you, there are certain individuals that feel that they have the right to control us. Hey, Warm Strong Adventures, how are you doing? Welcome in. How are you doing? Happy Tuesday to you. Thank you so much for being here. Hope all is well with you, Bill. It's one of those things in life that the individuals who think that they know everything about us, and I believe 100% that there are certain individuals who are very controlling. Entitlement is just another word for controlling. There are certain individuals that want to control the situation. They want to control how people talk. They want to control the people that come around, or we see them too in the streets now, where it's popular, the Karens and the Kens who think that they own everything and only certain people can be somewhere, or they think that they know everything and all of those things. It's ridiculous. There's entitled people. We've seen them on planes. They're entitled to do whatever they want. They can make lots of disruption. They can make problems. They'll start the fire. Basically, they'll start a fire. They'll start drama, and then they'll assume no responsibility. It wasn't me. It was them, because they take no ownership for anything that they do, anything that they say. Hey, Star Marie, how are you doing? Welcome. Hi, Miss Tamika, how are you doing? Welcome in. I appreciate everybody being here. If you could hit the like, I really appreciate it. I'm about to make you a mod, Star Marie. Um, but that's one of the things that really doesn't make any sense. It's not logical, and we can't expect it to be logical. Um, the ones that just basically feel that they own us. They own us and they can talk to us, they can do anything to us, and we have no say, right? We have no say as to what whatever it is, that they want to control. They're always right, even when they're wrong, even when they're angry or they're bitter or they're dramatic, all of those things. So Miss 702 says, it's so odd the things people ask you now as opposed to 20 years ago. Yeah, I don't know. Do you all believe that it's because we live in this microwave society of people who just are so used to everything being so fast that people forget about respect and courtesy and just staying in your own lane, minding your own business? I'm not saying that people just began to be nosy or just began to be dramatic, but I mean, these days, I feel that it's worse because of the internet. And there are people who feel entitled even when you have your social media. It's the ones that try to control how you run your personal, whether it's YouTube or other social media platforms. There are people, they're not even content creators, and they're trying to tell you how to run your channel, or even the ones that are content creators that will try to tell you how things should be on your channel. I think it's really weird. I really do. I think it's weird. I think it's controlling. I think these are people who are demanding, right? Yeah, people don't have any boundaries, Boss Life Online. They don't. They have no boundaries, and they don't care about how other people feel. They don't care if it hurts somebody's feelings. They don't care about those things, but they just do it, right? They do whatever it is that they want to do. There are a lot of questions I want to know, but I don't ask out of respect for people. And you know what I think it is 100% that certain individuals are just, they don't feel that there are any boundaries. I've learned this in my very short few years of life that people don't understand about boundaries. They don't understand anything about respect, respecting other people. And there's certain things you shouldn't ask people, like, don't even get me started in talking about romantic relationships. I believe 100% people divulge too much about their romantic relationship. Like, where do they work? What do they do? What is their income? How do they perform in the bedroom? Like, people do too much. And we too, as a grown women and men, have to learn to keep our mouth closed about what happens in our private romantic relationships, and even in your home environment, because people can't speak about what, well, people will always speak about what they don't know, but if you don't tell them certain things, it won't continue. Just say, like, I don't talk about my romantic relationship. That's just part of me. That's my personality. I choose to keep relationship status and all of that stuff quiet, because I don't want anybody getting in the middle of my business. It's nobody else's concern. I always say that when you have an issue, you need to work out that issue with the person you're in a relationship with, not go and run into your mom and your dad and cousin and this one and your friends when, like, you haven't even talked to the person that you're in a relationship with. But I'm going off on another tangent, another topic, but yeah, all of those things. Yes, welcome, Jackie. Welcome. Miss 702 says, I always tell people mama didn't mail everyone them school pictures. She hand selected who got her baby picture. Oh, okay. Okay. Yeah. And what I don't get and understand is people will try to tell people how to raise their children, right? Like, I was like, excuse me, when did you um become pregnant for 9 months, birth a child, raise it, stay up endless nights, and then people want to tell you how you should take care of your children? that yes, I do agree that, some people, they don't parent enough, or some people over parent, they do too much, but that's their children. That's their children. And I always say, it's not my concern, it's not my business. I see stuff sometimes, I raise an eyebrow and I say, that's weird or strange. But I never will open up my mouth and tell somebody how to run their house, or how things should be in your relationship, and telling other people about what they should spend their money on, and what kind of car they should have, and what kind of home they should live in, especially if you're not making it an addition to their income. Are you providing anything monetarily to support them? Then why do you have so much to say? It's too much. People are so strange. Hey, Olivers, how are you doing? Welcome. Appreciate you being here. Thank you so much. And that's one thing that is really different, from way, way back. My mom always told me when I was a little girl, you know, don't poke your nose where it doesn't belong. And some people just never get it. They never get that they need to mind their own business, stay in their own lane. Yes, yes, somebody has to pick you, to be in the business. Exactly. Somebody should be telling you, like, okay, or if somebody doesn't volunteer, not whatever information to you, you shouldn't be prying. And I know I have to take a few steps back sometimes when it comes to my siblings, like, because I'm very territorial over them. I want them to be okay. But at the end of the day, I have to let them live their life. We have to let people live their life, even your children, if you have children. I know it's so hard, because you want to protect them, and they will always be your children, but at the end of the day, especially when they're grown, I don't mean as a young child under 18, but when they get to be grown and we see them going down a road and you're like, that's not good, you shouldn't do that, and you want to say something, but there is a thing called, there's a show now. I don't know if it's still on, but it's called Smothering. And it's the lengths that some mothers will do that it's just way out of control. And we don't want to put ourselves in that category of smothering, or the same thing could be said about a father or auntie or anybody or a friend, whoever, feeling entitled to control and run people's life. And I know that it happens a lot. There's a lot of entitlement when it comes to jobs. Micromanagement, always trying to control, what are you doing every second? Have you done this? Have you done that? That's one thing that I cannot stand about the workplace, when somebody is always has their head over your shoulder. Did you do this? Did you do that? Are you about to do it? And how long is that going to take? Like, listen, chill. I know my time management. I know what to do. I'm mature. I'm responsible. I don't need you telling me what to do. I got this over here. So you can go over there with somebody else, because I'm not the one. You have to tell people, and set boundaries. And I think that does not happen enough with people who are entitled. For one thing, a lot of people are entitled because since childhood they have never been that's never been, what do you call it, roped in. When they were younger, they got to do whatever they want. They were never disciplined, they were never called out, or told, you're in somebody's business, you need to stop, and control that from a young age. So when that happened from the youth, from the childhood, then they begin to be teenagers, and then they go into their own personality, and it gets worse and worse. So they feel, because there was no consequences when I was younger, so now that I'm grown, now I can control other people. We've seen them in entitled and jealous, spouses and boyfriends and girlfriends, or um, very controlling friends who don't want you to have any other friend besides them, or controlling relatives. They don't like you spending time with certain individuals because they want all of your time, or they want all of your money, or they want to basically use you to get whatever it is that they want out of you. So it's very, very interesting how some people that are very entitled and controlling, most of them don't have their life together. And I think that because they're from their childhood has been so out of control, so chaotic, that they try to control everything and anyone that is in their life. Let's see what I missed. I know I missed some comments. Thank you so much, Jackie. I appreciate it. Yes, yes, definitely. Um, yeah, everyone can't come in. Everyone can't come into your house. Everybody, my mom used to say something that some people think it's weird. I don't know if it's a Caribbean thing, but my mom always says that never let there be more than one woman in your house. You got to be the queen of your throne, of your home. Don't let friends coming in, and trying to control things, or siblings, there's only one queen. And if you have a significant other or spouse, there's only one other person. It's supposed to be two people in a relationship, not three, or not your siblings, your aunties, your cousins, your friends. We have to learn about balance, and a lot of people are not balanced when it comes to relationships, right? Mm, they're not. Yes. Yep. Yep. That's a whole nother topic, Miss 702. It's the energy, how people show up. I can feel when something isn't right with a person right away, because after you're with them just a few short minutes, you feel like they've taken power away from you, because they're talking so much because they maybe are lonely, or they got a lot of things going on, so they're rattling off all of the things that they have going on in their life. Or it's that they just sit there and they're just pulling because they're so drained. And we don't know about the motives of people. We tend to think people who are entitled just, oh, okay, they're bougie, or they just have control issues. But honestly, some people who are entitled, it's not just entitled, they're controlling, they're jealous. But on top of all of that, many times some of them can be evil. They can come with very evil motives. Some people have these dark motives. You really don't know what's going on in somebody's head, what they may be planning. Some people, it sounds strange, it sounds weird, but some people will be trying to ultimately break you, hurt you, break up your relationships, cause your children to be unalived, cause you to be unalived. It's very wicked. It's very dark. So you have to be careful with who you tell your personal business to. You have to be careful who you get in business with. You got to be careful who you tell your personal information, and things that you're working on, because people will try to ruin you. They will try to ruin you and break you down. They will try to hurt you in every way possible if they can. Yes, follow me on my IG. That's one of the things that I just honestly don't get. I honestly don't get the people who are entitled. Now, one thing that has never made sense to me, I have never in my entire life been anything about race, because where we come from, where my family and my background, we don't we don't do race. That's something that I learned when my family came to the United States. We didn't know anything about race. We All we know is we're just people. I didn't know that there was a thing like, okay, you have black people, you have white people, you have Latina people, you have Asian people. I just thought were people. I think it's a lot of times it's people who are adults who put these things into our heads and feed it into our brains, cause us to not only hate others, but also to hate ourselves and to cause separations, disruption, and pain, and all of those things. But, ultimately, we are the ones that have to be in control of ourselves, of what we tell people, of what we think about ourselves, and how we encourage ourselves, and how we allow ourselves to be our best. You know, everybody be your best. And there are some people who just will not like us. And that's what it is at the end of the day. Certain people will just never, ever like us. They'll never like you. They'll never like what you do. One, because they're probably jealous of you. And it sounds ridiculous to me because, I just always say to myself, I'm just Marlene. But when you're a bright beam of light, or when you've been working on yourself and you're driven, and you have goals, and you're focused, and you love yourself, and you've made changes. And here's the biggest thing: entitled people don't like when you're happy. Because I found that the majority of people who are entitled, they're very negative. They're very negative, they're very rude, they're very controlling, they're jealous, they hate themselves. So they hate to see, anything that somebody is laughing, enjoying themselves. They hate that. Or especially if a person is a very good looking person, they have things together, they dress well, they speak well, they have it going on. They want to bring some disruption to that. And they can't. And I think that that's usually the biggest issue with people who are entitled. When you know yourself and you love yourself, this is one of the things that I learned as a life lesson, that before I used to allow others negativity to get inside of me. Like, I always felt like I had to defend myself. I always felt like, you say this, oh yeah, you said that, I'm going to say this. And then I would be going back and forth. It's like I inserted myself into a war, and you'll never win. I learned that I cannot convince anybody to like me. I cannot make anybody like me, nor do I want to. I only want people who are interested in being around me, that they actually like me for me, not what I'm going to give for them or anything, that they just genuinely like me. And I know that it can be deceiving, and people can deceive us and play games, and pull the wool over our eyes. But for the most part, we should be able to identify the red flags of people who are entitled. It's jealousy, very negative, controlling, bitter, always talking about somebody else. They're always involved in gossip. The drama never ends with entitled people. When one thing ends, it's another, and they're always screaming, right? They're always screaming about, oh, I can't believe they always put me in stuff. And I was like, it's interesting how they always want to complain about being involved or being in the middle of drama, when they're the ones that started. They're the ones that throw a monkey wrench in people's plans. They're the ones that open up their mouth and tell people's business. They're the ones trying to control other people, control other people's relationships. And you can't. You cannot control another adult, what they want to do, what they want to say, who they want to be around, the choices that they make. We can't control that part. We can't. So I think that was a lesson for me too. Because I think at one period of time, I definitely was entitled because, you know, I was the last child and I was just used to having my way. But also at the same time, I think I was, I, part of that also was a little bit of loneliness because I wanted certain things. And it's crazy how you can come from a big family, but at the same time feel so lonely because everybody is in their own world. And this is my personal truth, not saying that it's anybody else's, but my personal truth is that not all the time you see people who have a family feel that they are a part of a family. Hi, how are you doing? Welcome. Appreciate you being here. Thank you so much. Happy Tuesday to you. Welcome. It's one of those things in this life, it's one of those things in this life. You just have to learn yourself, you know. Yep, you stay in your own bubble. I speak about that all the time, learning to be in your own little force field, your own little, your own little world, and you're focused on what you need to do, and then you do that. If you have other people that are cool with you and they like you and they rock with you, it's all good. But one thing that I had to learn is that I can't make people like me, and I can't make people like themselves. That was one of the biggest lessons of entitlement is um, the people who are miserable and angry and jealous and controlling. They will drive you crazy, and you definitely have to set some boundaries with them. You have to. There's no if, ands, or buts. There's no way around it. You must make boundaries with people who are controlling. You have to show them, like, no, don't talk to me like that. Don't raise your voice at me. Don't do it again. And then if they do, you block them, or you separate yourself from them, or whatever it is. But you have to show people from the beginning how you want to be treated. And I can say that coming from and having controlling relationship, I know what that is. um Most of the time people know who to choose. These entitled, controlling, and jealous people, they know the ones, they know who to choose. The ones that have low self-esteem, the ones that don't have a big support system, they know, because many of us put it on our profile on our social media. You state, you state divorced, single, looking for love, looking for marriage. You're telling everybody, you're giving everybody the outline. But that's another conversation for another day. But we have to be careful what we put out there in the atmosphere. You have to be careful what you tell people about what's going on in your head. You have to be careful about what's going on in your finances. You have to be careful what's going on in your romantic relationship. You have to be careful with oversharing anything about you or your children or your relatives. Um, you have to be careful, especially you never know who on social media who's looking, and you don't know the ones that are predators or weirdos or psychopaths. We don't know who they are, because it's easy to type on social media. It's easy on all other social media platforms to put out, and everybody said they're such a nice person, they're such a good person. But that's a persona, that's a character that they know how to put on, and they put that on very well. Very well, they do. I am doing awesome. Thank you so much for being here. Miss Jackie says you have to set boundaries for what you will allow from other people. They may not like it, but for your own peace of mind. Yeah, that's one thing that I definitely had to learn, and it was definitely a big life lesson for me is learning to set boundaries. And setting boundaries doesn't mean that you're trying to control other people. You're saying what you will allow and what you won't. And for everybody, not just children, not just on a job. Everybody should know what you will allow and what you won't. And then when you put that out there, here are my boundaries, you have to stand 10 toes down on that. You have to, be who you say you are. If you say you don't like this, don't go backwards. Don't, if somebody starts, asking you over and over and over again, and then you give in. That's what they want. They say, oh, they say that, but I know all I have to do is ask them 3 or 4 more times, and then they'll do it. It's a test, you know. This life is all about, will you pass the test? Will you set the boundaries? And it shows how much you actually love yourself. And many of us will say that, right? I love myself, right? I love myself. I'm all that. I got things going on. But when it comes to simple things like somebody hurts your feelings, somebody disrespects you, somebody does whatever it is to you, now what are you going to do? Now what will you do? Now who you will you prove yourself to be? This is where you don't have to do it in a nasty way, because I hear people, oh yeah, when they do that, and I'm gonna show. No, you don't have to go hood on them. You don't have to be ghetto. You don't have to scream and shout and cuss them out. Like my mom used to call it, you can be nice nasty. You put them in their place in a nice way, with respect, but firm. You have to be firm with people, especially people who are entitled and controlling. You have to show them, like, you're not about to play games with me. I'm not the one. And there's a lot of individuals who are like that. Not everybody, but there are certain people that they're going to push and push and push until they can get their way. And this is, if you're not a person who is firm in knowing who you are, what you're worth, what you're trying to do, those are the people who will control you, who will be demanding, drive you crazy. And all you have to do is simply say no. All you have to simply do is walk away. All you have to simply say is, this is not my cup of tea, and I got to go. I can't deal with you. And it's not that, that you think you're better than anybody, but everybody has different personalities. Everybody has different likes. We're not going to be everybody's cup of tea, and vice versa. And it's okay. I think as adults, we need to learn to agree to disagree. It's like, okay, I don't like what that, I don't agree with what you said, because this is what I feel, but I can still be cool with you. I can shoot the breeze, we can have conversation, but you don't have to agree with everybody. But the issue comes where somebody says something to you, and if you say something opposite, then they hate you, which is weird to me, but okay, that's how some people are. Yes. Good afternoon, Estad. How are you doing? Welcome. Yes. Oh, yes. Hey, Realist. How are you doing? Welcome. Happy Tuesday to you. Yes. What you put out will return back to you. I talk about it all the time. I talk about the boomerang all the time. I talk about the boomerang. And I always state how important it is to not only respect others, but respecting yourself. So many people these days don't know anything about respecting, they don't know anything about respecting themselves, much less another person. That's why you see people who have such low standards. They'll just allow anything. They'll allow people to control them, to be demanding, and they'll be uncomfortable. That they'll actually hate it, but they'll never speak up because they don't like confrontation. Because maybe certain issues from their childhood or whatever, they have problems speaking up for themselves, and it's okay. I know, because I've been there. But once you learn the lesson, you can never go back. Once you get introduced to confidence and self esteem, and yeah, and you know the things that you want to do. And that's usually one of the biggest problems is most people don't know what they want. They don't know what they want. So they're looking to a relationship, they're looking to their family, they're looking to friends, they're looking to money, they're looking for everything else to fill in the empty spaces inside of themselves, the holes, the pain, instead of going inside and resolving, like, okay, this, I take ownership of this, this is what I do, and this is what another person has done to me, and what did I allow, what can I fix, and what can I heal. That's where you get right on point with being your maturity and your elevation and your personal growth. Until you know yourself, until you love yourself, until you know what you want to do, and you can set boundaries, and you can say, nope, I don't like that, or I do like that. And not being angry, not being upset, not trying to control what another person says or does. But it's cool. It's like you can feel that way, and this is how I feel. And then you keep on going. That's about your determination and your focus and your self love. Thank you so much, Oliver's. See what I missed? Yes, yes, yes. Yes, don't forget to hit the like. Hey, Sharonda, how are you doing? Welcome. Appreciate you being here. E says maturity helps with people who make you upset. They can't push your buttons. Yeah, it's all about what you allow, and I definitely never understood that when it came to entitlement. I didn't understand how important it was about having self respect, self awareness. So even if somebody tells you something and they're like, and they say, yeah, this, and this about you. If you already know it's not true, then you can dismiss it. But I do think that the issue a lot of times where we get really upset and irate is when somebody calls you out on it and it is true. Yeah, that's it. And that's it. And that's the thing right there. A lot of people who are grown have never come into the space of maturity that somebody can give them feedback and you can say, you're absolutely right. I do need to work on that about myself. Not get mad, not get upset. I'm definitely on that wavelength. I can always receive feedback. Some people will call it criticism, but I call it feedback. So for some personal growth, because if I have something that is going to inhibit me from my elevation, of course, check me on it. If I'm unreasonable, if I'm whatever, hypocritical, or I'm being negative, or I'm doing something that's um, very unwise, or something that's negative, or, one thing that I don't like, I'm going to get off topic for a second, but one thing that I don't like is a person who is a backbiter, or someone who, smiles in someone's face and then talks about them behind their back. That's one of my number one, like the top of my list. You cannot come back. You can't come back because when I lose somebody, when I lose respect for somebody like that, they're smiling in your face and then they stab you in the back, like behind your back. They're saying stuff and then it gets back to you. It's like, I'm cool. If I'm not your cup of, I'm cool. It's like we're grown. You go your way, I go mine. I'm not gonna bother you no more. But it's those same individuals that will come in your face, smile up with you, and they know they can't stand you. That's one of my biggest, like, that triggers me. I hate that so very much. It's not many things in this life that I hate, but that's one of them. A person who's a hypocrite. I can't stand it. Anywho, getting back on the topic. Oh, here we go. Let's see. Sharonda says, my mom said, in order for people to respect you, you have to respect yourself. Yeah, and that's something that a lot of people don't have. They don't possess it. They don't know. First, before respecting yourself, you have to know yourself. And a lot of people don't do that work on their inside. I put 7 years into myself. I shed a lot of tears, really angry, because who wants to look at themselves in the mirror and to say you're bitter, or to say you're jealous, or to say you have an anger problem, or to say, well, on and on and on, whatever it is that you have going on that you need to work on. But be mature enough to say, I do have to stop doing that. I do have to stop the procrastination or the doubt. I do have to be better and then go about making a plan in order to change it. But with this conversation, I'm talking to the mature people, and a lot of people who are adults. That does not make you, it doesn't make you mature. You can be grown, of course. You can be grown from the time you're 18. even 21, but that doesn't make you mature. That doesn't make you reasonable. And it definitely doesn't make you wise. Definitely doesn't. Yes. You know what you'll deserve. Hmm. Yes. Backstabbers. Estad backstabbers. Yes, the talking behind the back, spreading narratives. Yeah, it's my number one. It's my number one thing on top of my list, like of things that I hate. And I'm always gonna say that. I'm in the space. I'm a mature. You're dealing with a mature woman. I'm not a kid. You're not talking to a little girl. You're not talking to somebody who's low vibrational. I know my worth. So there's not going to be any games to be played with me. I can see through the smoke screen, okay? But there are certain individuals that feel that they can do whatever, and I guess they feel it will never come back to you. You'll never find out. But even sometimes when you don't even try to, you know, it's very interesting how the truth always comes out. Everything always gets revealed about individuals. If you have any doubts, it always gets revealed. Just sit back, wait, and pay attention. Yeah, you were singing that too, Alicia. I despise realists. Despise. Yes. Hey, Nancy, how are you doing? Welcome. Appreciate you being here. Thank you so much. Awesome. Boss Life Online. I understand. Thank you so much, Boss Life. And it was one of those things. Hey, Nancy, how are you doing? Welcome. Thank you so much. It's one of those things about life that, we have to learn. We have to learn. We have to learn how to be our best. We have to learn how to improve. Yes, I understand, everybody. Oh, it's 2 a.m. Yes, get some sleep. That's one of the things that we definitely have to learn. Being grown, right? Being grown women, being grown men, that not everybody that we hang around with, that there's going to be people who are entitled. And, you got to check on your children to make sure your children are going the right path. You got to put in work in your romantic relationship. A lot of people don't understand that part. It's not just about getting in a relationship, it's about staying in a relationship. All of them, you know, children, um, romantic, platonic, friends, everybody. You have to put in work into the relationship. But what gets me sometimes is the entitled people who will just want to know everything, want to control everything, want to feel that they know so many things about us, and actually they don't. They don't know anything that's going on. They don't know anything that's going on in their life. I put the link there in the chat if there's anybody who is interested in coming up. There's one thing that I've learned in this life is there's nobody who knows your business like you do. Even if somebody is going through something similar, people have different personalities, background, education. People have been through different things. They come from different cultures, and people are just different. They like different things. So we can't think just because you like something and then you'll say, well, why didn't they do that? Because maybe they don't want to do it, or maybe they don't like it. Or have you ever thought sometimes, even something simple like maybe they can't afford to do that? Maybe they're struggling right now, which I know a lot of people are, real talk. Uh, Life is hard, things are expensive, but there are people who feel like I was listening one time in the office, a conversation like there were some other, I'll call them girls because those were not ladies. They were talking about a coworker and her clothing. Okay, talking about her clothing. Oh, and she wears the same outfit, and she has the same shoes, and she doesn't have this, and she doesn't get her hair done or her nails done. but you don't know what she was going through, and I don't know till this day. I still don't know. But I always say that's not my business to know. If you can't support and encourage somebody and help them, like I always say, how dare you? How dare you talk about somebody else like you don't have your own problems? It's like calling the talking about somebody has one or two issues and you have probably 15 that you need to work on. So, be careful and be careful. I always say when I hear people who talk about other people, those are the people that I give myself so much distance and I stay away from them, because if somebody talks about somebody else, then they're going to definitely talk about you. I can't trust anybody who talks about other people. Can't trust them. I don't like it. It made me feel like, it makes me feel sick on the inside. Like how dare you talk about how somebody looks, or what somebody can afford, their dress, their clothing. That's what they want to do. Are you going to pay their bills? You going to pay to do their hair, or to give them a haircut, or pay for them to have a car, like making fun of people because they don't have a car, or they don't have the latest car, or they're living in this certain housing development, or they have this or they have that. Like, are you funding it? They're not funding it. If you're not going to fund it, then keep your mouth closed. That's like, I don't get it. That does not make any sense. Yes, you know better than anyone. My mama always said that. You got to know your own personal business. Yes, very childish. High school behavior. I don't even think it's high school. I think it's elementary school. That's the stuff you did when you were elementary school, talking about somebody and passing notes and stuff. Immature. Hey, Kyle, how are you doing? Welcome. Good evening to you. Yes, Alicia. Yeah, say it loud. Yeah, the same position a person is in one day, God can put them in that same position the very same day. I say that all the time. It's like somebody is talking about somebody and laughing at them, and you have this, and this is happening, and the next day you don't. Nobody knows if the next day, the next moment, you could be in a debilitating accident and be paralyzed, or lose your home, or lose your job, or whatever. Nobody knows what's going to be next for them. Nobody. I always like, who am I to say how a person should dress, or what a person should do for work? Like, I think just about everybody is doing the best that they can. And yeah, there may be people who could probably do more, but is it my business? Am I funding how they're living? No. So why do I have anything to say? Like, I'm staying in my lane. I'm staying in mine. It makes you pay close attention to a person always talking about others, because that means they'll talk about you. Yes, realists. They will. They'll definitely talk about you. Definitely, definitely, definitely. So we have to do better. We have to do better. We have to improve, and hold ourselves to a higher standard. Now, we're not kids. This is not little kid stuff. This is not little kids' business. We gotta do better. Do better than, probably. I always say, do better than your parents, right? Do better than previous people that you knew of. You know, do better. And some people never grow up, and that makes me so sad. It makes me sad for people who never act their age and not their shoe size. And I get it. I understand that you can go through things in your life, because I can raise my hand on that one too. Been there, done that. I've been through things. I've done things. I've been immature, but also you got to ask yourself the question, how long am I going to be immature? Like, that gets old really fast, and people will, if you really pay attention, if you really find that you cannot have friends, if you find that certain things just won't work out for you and you always want to blame other people. I remember being in that space, always blaming other people for the things that I was doing, until one day I had to, like, but what did they do? I had to start questioning myself, being mature enough to hold my own self accountable and say, no, Marlene, you did that. Own it. You need to do better than that. But a lot of people won't do that because, number one, they don't want to. They don't want to. That's the major thing. But you know, I think, do you in a better way. Yes, yes, you have to. You have to say it loud, say it proud. You have to. You know. Every day we should strive to be better than we were the day before. We should be, like, constantly working on improving, constantly working on our personal growth, and challenging the boundaries of, what other people say you are. When I like feel like I grew up probably around between the age of 23 to 25 is when I really felt like, okay, Marlene, you can't keep blaming other people. You can't keep acting like you don't know, because I did the thing. Play the I don't understand. Oh, why is everybody attacking me? I played that game really well for many years, but that gets old, and it's immature, and other people see through it. And they know that you know what you're doing. So the people who like to play games, these entitled people, be careful. So I want to spend the remainder of this conversation, talking about jealousy. Really do. Um, Speaking about jealousy is, where do I even start with that? People who are jealous, where does it stem from? I can't speak from anybody else's point of reference but mine. For me, my jealousy stemmed from not believing that I could have or do something like that individual. It's also stemmed from me not believing in myself and loving myself enough just as I am. And a lot of people don't know how to love themselves, exactly how they are. Yeah, real talk, Jackie. Yes, we all go through things. It's supposed to give you a license to grow up, but it's a bunch of Toys R Us kid minded adults walking around. Yes. I've seen it all the time. You're right, Eastad. Yeah. Yeah, it's a very ugly disease. Jealousy is a very terrible thing. And we have to really and truly be careful that we don't get ourselves wrapped up in that trap, because jealousy leads to other things. Because it's not just the act of being jealousy, it's what jealousy can make you do. Because you're jealous, now you're going to hate somebody, and then that hate means, well, now maybe you may think about harming, bringing some physical harm to somebody, ruining somebody's reputation, spreading lies about them. What are you willing to do to get the spotlight on you? Or are you willing to do anything? Are you willing to throw people under the bus, to tell people's private business that maybe somebody told you in with trust, and now you went and told their personal and private business to other people? Be careful. Be careful what you do to other people, because when that boomerang comes back and that thing hits you upside your head, what was that song back in the day? Whoops, upside your head. When that thing comes back, hmm, it's not going to be pretty. So, be careful. Be careful. Be careful of how you treat others, because when it comes around, it's always worse. When you do things that, yeah, you may have done that to them and you may have seemed to get away with it, like the things that I've seen people do, get people fired, um, tell people's personal private business, people who harm children and the elderly, people who get people fired, it's so much things that people will do because they're jealous, because they hate you. And most of the time, the people who hate us, we're not even doing anything to them. I find it to be crazy, like the people that I find out later on that hate me, when all I've ever done is poured into them. Yep, all I've done is pour into them, and I'm sure you have two gems. You've poured into them and given them so much, and you've done so much nice things and try to assist them and get them on the right track, and they hate you. And I've come to the conclusion that it has nothing to do with that they hate you. It's that they hate themselves, and they're not willing to put in the work in order to be their best. They're not. Absolutely. You had it done to you? I'm so sorry. It's awful when somebody it becomes jealous of you, or they say hurtful things, or they stir up drama, or they get people to, like make up things. And then, I will say that certain times when people will spread lies about you, and then other people that you thought that you were cool with, then they turn on you. I want to say that that's one of the biggest blessings that you could ever have in this life, when the people that you thought were your friends or you thought loved you, and then they disown you or abandon you. That's one of the biggest gifts and blessings you can ever have. Do you hear me? When people leave your life, you should be saying thank you, thank you. You should be clapping and shouting from the roofs, thank you, because now you know who is the enemy. A lot of times we don't know who our enemies are. Yes, when you're telling someone else's business, someone is usually telling yours. Yep, you have to be careful. What you do to others shall happen to you, if not worse. Exactly, Sharonda. Yep, I am. Yes, I am. But I definitely just wanted to come in with this conversation. I'm going to put a link if any of you content creators are interested in um, getting your lives and your videos put out there. Boss Life Online is live right now, and that's what she does on her channel. So go over there and give her a like. Even if you can't stay, at least go by and give her a like, or give her a few minutes. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. Thank you so much for your support. I really appreciated this topic. I feel like this is a really good topic. And I want to say, you know, to people that we have in our life that we know, right? You know them. Maybe they used you, they took advantage of you, they ran over you, they were disrespectful to you, they were jealous, all of those things. Don't let that be the definition of who you are. You have to know yourself. You have to love yourself. You have to respect yourself. That's not determined by anybody else. It's determined by your actions. There's always going to be people who think that they are can control you, but that's when you put up your boundaries. You draw a line in the sand and you say, this is it. This is all I will allow. If the only thing you get out of this conversation is make sure you respect yourself. We can't make other people respect us, but we can't set those boundaries. We can't get people to like us, but we can't put those boundaries. And what we can do is be our own friend. And what we can do is love ourselves. Thank you all so much for tuning in. Shout out to the mods. I appreciate every single one of you. Shout out to all of my channel members. We will definitely be doing a live over here at really soon in the future. Membership's only 99 cents. To any of you who are interested in joining, you're welcome. It's not necessary, but you can. It's open out there. Everybody have a great rest of your day. You've tuned into the Life Lessons podcast, where we podcast every single week on a life lesson, something that I've been through, and maybe it's something that we can learn and grow in together. I appreciate you all who tuned in live, and those of you who are tuning into the replay. Let me know in the comment section below, have you known some entitled people? And let me know some of the type of things that they have maybe said or done to you. Thank you for tuning in. I appreciate every single one of you. Everybody have a great rest of your day. Thank you so much. I appreciate you. See all you gems on the next one, I believe some point, um, maybe Friday. I'm going to do the 10 content creators you should know. So tune in for that. And I put the link in there. You guys, at least please go over to Boss Life Online's channel. At least give her a like, even if you can't stay. I'd really appreciate it. See you guys on the next one. Bye bye, everybody.